Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Challenge All-Stars Rivals or RHAP podcast for episode 5. I am Brian Cohen. With me, as always, is my co-host, Lasher. How are you?
I gotta say, not to be vulnerable, so no one at me, I don't care. A really like tough week. And I almost was like, I need a sub. I don't know if anybody even watches this to get a sub, which I said to you. And then I watched the episode and was like, this is actually a good episode. I have to show up to talk about it. So I was slightly rejuvenated, though the bar was quite low. Your face says you disagree.
No. I agree.
Okay.
It was a good episode. Mark Long was tweeting all week that this is it. This is the week the game breaks open. He was really hyping this one up, which I'm always like iffy about when people do that involved with the show. But I feel like, you know what? I think Mark Long knows what challenge fans want. So I think I was like, all right, I believe it. And he was right. It was a good episode. We had, one other different team in the elimination, a good team in elimination, a different team win a daily. Some fun stuff going on.
So that's interesting. Had I seen Mark hype that up, I would have been very disappointed, I think, in the episode, because it was just like a normal to good episode. But I was expecting nothing, and I was expecting Frank and Sam to not really make a move.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like very pleasantly surprised.
Sure. All right, great. So everyone else, hopefully you didn't see the Mark Sweet, so you can be as excited.
Do as I say, and as I do. That's the adapted phrase.
I also thought about starting this episode FaceTiming Emily, because apparently that's like the theme of this one. Everyone got their FaceTime. This was a big FaceTime at home week. This was like family weekend for a freshman year of college. So all the families made appearances this week.
Do you want to do that while I sing "Kiss Me Through the Phone"? Because I'm happy to do it.
I mean, in an entire history of the world, has there ever been a FaceTime montage? Like, that was wild. Just like boom, 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 boom. Like everyone getting to FaceTime. I love that it ended with like Devin and Michelle. I thought that was actually pretty funny. But it was just, I loved it.
Yeah, it was perfect because like it's something like only the challenge could do. We're familiar with those couples. We don't really need to hear their conversations. The point of the montage is like, look at all of this like challenge on challenge love. A little sad to start with Casey and Nani, given where things go.
Yeah, can't really re-edit that one out of the equation. I mean, I guess you could have, but it's kind of it's good to include. But I do also think it fits All Stars, right? Because like for challenge proper, theoretically, it's supposed to be more like younger people, single, with less important connections at home, I guess you could say. Where Challenge All Stars is more like people with like older, you're a family, you have, a lot of them have kids, so it makes more sense. You see a lot more of like the FaceTime back homes with the Challenge All Star crew.
Not you giving a little bit of Sylvia, like the newer, younger people don't have families.
Well, look, if you want to, I think the FaceTiming the dog, but I also think a lot of young single people don't want to have dogs. That's a big commitment if you're single. You don't want to, you having a hot date, like, oh, I got to go home and walk my dog. That sucks. That's a mood killer.
We need the relationship czar also to weigh in, Nicolette, because I do have to apologize. I think Amber and Chauncey seemingly giving together vibes. I mean, it's not dispositive. So. You'd still FaceTime your kid with the father of your kid watching her, but they seem a little bit together in the vibe.
They do. They definitely seem together. It was also wild to see Avery just with like Adam's two kids. Like I know they're together.
Follow-up questions about that,
but it's just wild that it's like, oh yeah, Adam's gone, so now it's like Adam's new girlfriend Avery is gonna like be like watching the kids all the whole time while he's gone. Like it's like it makes sense, but it's just like we just found out about them being a couple, and now she's just like full caregiver of the kids while Adam is away on the show. It's kind of wild.
I mean, I don't know anything about the circumstances around Adam's prior relationship. Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, so like I don't know anything about that, but like it is possible that there was like a time they were allowed to call, so like Avery went over there with the kid. True. I don't know. Nicolette, paging Nicolette. I don't know.
Definitely fair.
I do want to say you shouted out Devin and Michelle being the last one to end on. We've talked about this before on 40. I love the way Devin talks about his relationship with Michelle. I don't love the way Devin talks about most things, but I absolutely love how he talks about Michelle. He often calls her an absolute rocket on the show and on social media. Like, I never missed anyone so much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she says, like, oh, I accidentally leaked our relationship, hard launch. She's like, great, I want everyone to know. Like, this is the energy all boyfriends should come with. Like, love Devin in the relationship.
Yeah, they're really giving Cam and Leroy about how much it seems like it would be stunning at this point if something happened between the two of them. I obviously Cam and Leroy are much more developed in their relationship, but at this point, like when they first started dating, it seemed like they were endgame, and it seems like Michelle and Devin, like I could see an engagement, like at any moment for some reason. It just
At
seems
any
like
moment.
it could seem that it seems that way. I don't know, they seem so into each other that it seems like it's going like full steam ahead.
No, I love it. My only surprise face is like, do you want to just call them in the future the challenge too? Let's not jinx this relationship. Like,
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that to them. Jeez.
Yeah, it's giving that. It's giving that energy. We have an update that's a critical update that I'm sure you saw in the Facebook group, but we have to just bring it to the pod. Sean Messler says on the official challenge podcast, Katie said she planned the 80s party.
Love it.
She went to production with a list of things to buy and the balloon arch and such. Seemingly, she planned all the parties for the show she was on. Huge news.
Chief Party Officer, Katie. Love it.
Chief Party Officer. Oh, was that Kyle's title? Yeah, we forget things.
I don't know what title we gave Kyle. It sounds about right. What title?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right.
All right, well, co-chief then. Or like the proper chief, and on the show. Kyle
Picard, who chief party officer, does the drinking game. That position needs to be rebranded to like chief of regret. Like,
hey, he got the season off this time. He's able to enjoy All Stars. He's sitting back. Kyle, are your feet up watching the show? Like, do you even not have like a computer or like phone in front of you, and you just feel free as a bird watching this? It must be so freeing.
It's like when we do get a week off, or like I have a sub or something. Watching the challenge just to watch it is like,
it's wild,
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But love doing this. We get a peek not only into the romances back home, the updates on the relationships, but Devin finally lets us in with a little clarity on the strategic dynamics in the house.
Devin does? I feel like, did I miss this scene?
Oh, well, we get a little explanation that the main alliance is Devin and Leroy, Fessel and Amber, Nany and Turbo, Ashley K and Dario, and Steve and Adam are the only thing that stands in that foursome's way. And it does align generally with what's going on in the house, right? The complaints about Fessel and Amber. What's their plan? Why are they not taking shots at the star holders who are stronger? And it does seem like in Devin's mind, these four teams want to go to the end with each other for some inexplicable reason. Prior relationships.
But even like spelling it out like that, it even points more so, and especially how Leroy and Dario talked about each other, of how much it seems like Fessel and Amber would be number 4 in that grouping. Like the other 3 have much stronger pairs to each other, like Nany to Leroy to Dario, things like that, where it's like no one has that level to Fessel and Amber. I guess if it's the Fessel to Casey to Nany type thing, but that feels a little strained. That it does even seem like in that Fessel and Amber would be number 4.
Yeah, but 4 people that presumably can go to the end. So it's like maybe the idea is you don't have to turn on each other. The other thing that I think comes in, again, like I keep saying last week, like I don't agree that Fessel and Amber have been making the right moves. But like as I continue to watch and talk about it, despite all the haters to the contrary in the Facebook group, like I'm starting to think they're making the right moves. Results oriented, because I think when I look at these 4 pairs versus Steve and Adam as it's set up by Devin, Fessel and Amber, Nany and Turbo, Ashley K and Dario are all co-ed teams. And I think the challenge, right or wrong, if I would love to hear from people who are listening to the official challenge podcasts with the contestants on them, like if that weighs into this, because it shouldn't, because I think Fessel and Amber are as big of a threat to win the final as any male team. But I don't think it's a coincidence that they immediately go to putting Steve and Adam against Devin and Leroy. They're going to view the male teams as the stronger, bigger threats. And I think it's like bearing fruit that Fessel and Amber were able to kind of hide behind these bigger threatening teams, even though they should really have the biggest target in the house.
Yeah, I agree to that regard, but I would also say, as much as I hated Fessel and Amber's decision, I really didn't like Frank and Sam's decision. I think it's wild that they put in Devin and Leroy and not Fessel and Amber. The fact that they brokered that deal with Devin, that, with all due respect to Leroy, I would much rather go up against Leroy in a final than Fessel and Amber. So it is wild to me. Like, I understand the star of it all, but who cares? Like, Fessel and Amber are just as, or if not bigger of a threat, and you've already brokered a deal with Devin and with Leroy, and Leroy is probably one of the most honest people in the game. And as Devin points out, usually when he makes a deal with someone, he will stick with someone. And Frank has to realize there is no reason why Devin would want to break the deal with Sam and Frank later on, because they are viewed as a weak team. So they would love to go to the final with Frank and Sam. That sounds great for Devin and Leroy. So why would they want to break it? So why would they in turn break the deal with them? So I thought that was also, I feel like everyone's just playing poorly. Anyone in power, I feel like, is making wrong moves.
Well, especially from Frank and Sam's perspective, where like they shouldn't be playing to win. Just like if you and I were a team there, we would not be playing to win. Like, no disrespect to you. Like, but and maybe there's always the any given Sunday, but Frank and Sam don't have any better of a shot to beat Devin and Leroy than they do Fessel and Amber, or vice versa. So I agree with you completely. Frank and Sam's objective should be align with the strongest team in the house. And in this case, the opportunity was given to them by Devin and Leroy, and hide behind them and hope like they're a shield working with you and get you to the final. Like, I don't know why you'd double cross them. The risk that Devin and Leroy would come back after you made that move, to me, is like an even bigger problem, because Devin will make his whole personality like trying to get you in a way that Fessel and Amber, I don't think, like, have the same rage or social capital to action it. So I agree with you completely on that. But I think like it probably shouldn't have worked for Fessel and Amber, but I think it has. Like, what their strategy has done has worked for them so far. And I think they're relying a lot on the gender dynamics.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think they didn't purposely not get a star week one. Like, they didn't purposely just fall short of getting one. So, but it has worked out that they're the one team without it. But it is stupid that people don't view them as much of a threat. Like, if they had a star and Devin and Leroy didn't, like, it's wild that they would go in just because they had the star. Like, that's, and I guess it's stupid in my head. I would think Devin, or I would think Frank, would be smart enough to realize that it shouldn't matter specifically that Fessel and Amber didn't have a star, that they should be the one to throw in anyway. It just to do the star on star is not as much worth it as the two best teams probably in the entire house.
Now, a millennia ago, last week or whatever, Adam, I believe Adam and Steve were requesting Devin and Leroy as opponents.
Yes.
And perhaps they offered the same deal to Frank and Sam, which is, if you put in Devin and Leroy, we'll give you the star. And I do wonder how the cliffhanger of what happens with the star, which from the preview looks like it's going to be up for grabs and a challenge to anyone, is going to change the impulse to put star on star teams in and have the star just like popcorn, right? Like, that's not a bargaining chip anymore if the winning team can't will the star away.
Yeah, it definitely takes the bargaining away from the star holder. But I think it'll probably incentivize, or I think, the house to always have a star holder be thrown in. And then if the winning team happens to throw also a star holder in, then it frees up a star. But I think for the house vote would always want to have a star holder in.
Yes, because you could always win a challenge and who knows what it will be. But also then, like, the star is automatically potentially going to a big threat. Or what if, I'm very curious to see what happens if, like, a star holder wins the challenge. Do they then get to will it? Or is it like
second place?
Right. I was like, the team who wins, who does the winningest of the non-holders.
Right.
I do have an issue. I do wish the star got willed by the winning eliminated team, because I think one of them, it's a small way that they could have redeemed a massive problem in the season's format of the team who goes into elimination, the team who's in the minority of the house, like of alliance of the house, has just no ability to change the situation other than winning a challenge, which is like a 1 in 10 shot.
Yeah, it also gives a team like a Veronica and Katie or Frank and Sam who are trying to build these social bonds to like butter up to a certain team. And if they get in the power of willing a star, they should be rewarded with that. And then they should be set up to still go to the final, that way. So I wish there was that extra element to it. And then look, if they get willed the star, they're very likely to just be tossed in and go into an elimination at some point. But at least maybe it happens later on, and it gives them a chance to hold on to the star. I don't know. I wish there was. I don't like that they're taking that away.
Well, Gregory Contreras has a solve to that potential problem in general. He said, I think Amber and Fessy know that if they get a star, it could be stolen as soon as the next week. What if we had a new rule? If you earn your star, in this example, an elimination, or it's given to you, the only way you can get it taken from you is in an elimination. I think more it should just be just for ease of watching the show. I wouldn't mind if a new star holder couldn't have their star stolen for 1 week. Like let them have time to play. But I don't know how that really works out when you get to like the end game.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I'd much rather them focus on the rule that the same team can't go into elimination every week than the star get taken the next week. So if they're focused on that, I think that's the wrong place to keep that.
And that's why I like at least the star willing, because you can sort of use that to leverage more alliances in the game than just like trying to flip the house vote. Because even if Adam and Steve win a challenge, they're just they lose their house vote, and all they get to do is pick one team. Like the house should then vote in Mel and Nicole, like and then just like rip their power away. So it's very, very hard to make anything really happen if you're outside of the majority alliance on the season.
Yeah, I guess if they vote in Mel and Nicole, they could theoretically like vote in Veronica and Katie, and then Mel and Nicole could steal a star from someone else. So
yeah, but Veronica and Katie are Adam and Steve's second big like closest alliance.
Then Frank and Sam.
Yeah. Okay. Leroy and Dario, like, were you up to date on their very, very tight friendship?
I think I've heard of them being close, but I definitely didn't realize they were as close as they both have said they were. It seemed like Leroy is closer to him than closer to Nani at this point in their like almost lives. They're like talk every day. Dario moved when he first moved out to Vegas. They were like brothers. I think he said they even lived together when he first moved out there. So like they're very, 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 very close.
I feel like I haven't learned any new information about Dario since I like looked at his LinkedIn in an Are You the One preview. This was a shock to me, but like it makes sense, I guess. It makes me wonder if this has any reason why like he was still top of mind for challenge producers or something. Like he's still kind of like in the mix socially, because it still feels like so out of left field that Dario's on the season. It's been great this episode, but
I even love that his brother got a shout out. Like I'm even close with his brother. Like we all know his brother was on the show too, for almost as many seasons as Dario.
Okay, I have a guess at what Dario's name is. I'm gonna write it down.
The brother?
So that you know I'm not lying. I haven't looked it up. Don't say it.
I couldn't say it because I don't know it.
Okay, do you know what it is?
Can you give me what do you have as the first letter?
Well, I would like you to Google and search it so that I can reveal if it's correct. And I'm not gonna reveal it if it's not correct.
I feel like it sounds like his name too, but
then do you think it's like Dario and Mario? It's not that.
something like that. All right, Google is coming through.
You think it's Mario?
All right, do you want me to read it?
Yeah,
it's Rafi.
I have written down Ralphie. That's so close.
Oh, that's close. That's
so close. And you know, as I wrote it, I was like, "Is it Rafi?" But I've already had an issue with Rafe Fiennes and
they're Boston
Ralph
guys.
Trauma. Anyway,
yeah, they're Boston guys.
Not anymore. At least one of them is a Las Vegas guy. Hence the drama.
Yep.
But we'll get to it. I guess let's set the scene at the Daily, unless you've got something else.
No, but if you've ever seen them in the Dario brothers in
The
elimination,
Dario brothers. So you think his name is Dario?
yeah, the Dario brothers in a relationship. I keep saying relationship in an eliminations.
What do you?
It's one of the all-time moments. It's genuinely one of the all-time moments in challenge history where they think they win and they don't, and like knucklehead brothers, they celebrate too hard and end up losing. It's an all-time moment. So do a quick YouTube search if you haven't seen it. We'll be right back right after this. All right. Daily for this week, Sunday Fun Day on a Wednesday. Sort of trivia, but sort of like not really trivia. It's more like the newlywed game. You ask a partner, it's a question to your partner. The rival tries to match. And if you get it wrong, you add something to your delicious drink. After 4 questions, you drink the drink. Whoever finishes it first wins.
I thought these were going to be more fun questions than I could ask you the questions, but they get very specific into the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But, I wish you a happy birthday across all months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to remember your start. Are you a Sag?
No.
Are you a Libra?
Still no.
I think it's more I just don't know what signs correlate to the months.
Well, what month do you think?
Well, that's really neither here nor there. I want to say it's September.
No, I think that's what you said last time, and I remember saying that's about as far away as you possibly actually can be.
Oh, are you a Taurus?
No. Just keep going. Keep going. You'll get there eventually.
It's far away. Yeah, I always associate with you with like a September, December birthday. So your birthday is in May. Is it May?
Still no. I mean, we're getting warmer from September.
Okay, why don't you tell me what sign you are, and I'll guess the month.
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, I don't know any of those people.
Yeah, so my birthday is actually very funny because my birthday is on Friday. So that's what makes this even funny.
Well, I guess my birthday party invite got lost in the mail.
Then I sent these since September.
Well, I just thought it's like Ralphie. It's like I just got one thing in my head and I'm gonna remember it for a decade like that. Okay. Wow, Pisces knocking on Aries' door.
Mm-hmm.
Pisces.
You're in April, right?
Oh yeah. Big time Aries.
I'll never forget the great Judy Lasher slid into my DMs for your 2020 Zoom birthday. That was so fun.
I thought you were gonna say you'll never forget when Emily Moses Cohen broke her knee dancing with Jacob Jones at my birthday.
Also that was like the following year, I think, or 2 years later.
All right. Well, happy birthday. That's so funny.
You said something September was what you said the first time. And I was like, no, that's literally about as far away as you possibly can be.
I really have September 18th in my head is definitely.
Yeah, close. February 28th.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna get it. I just what are the odds that would happen a second time?
And for everyone asking, no, I was not almost a leap baby. I was 2 years and 1 day for being a leap baby. I was 1990. Leap years are 88 and 92. So I was the most far away you could be from being a leap baby in terms of the actual calendar. So don't ask.
Well, does that mean you're not close to the year before? Was the year before a leap year?
No, because it was 2 years before and 2 years
after.
I
see. You're in the middle.
Yeah, okay. So I'm as far away from being born on leap day as you possibly can be.
Okay, so I now have to remember, based on this extremely detailed story about leap
Once
year
you hear my
anxiety,
birthday and know it's the day before leap day, it's actually a very easy birthday to remember.
To be completely honest, I just kind of the end of February is always a mush to me.
Oh, it's the worst month. It sucks. It's horrible.
Okay.
And when everyone's ranking the worst times of the year, it's always February 17th to March 10th or something. That my birthday is right in the middle of it.
Because you were born, or just unrelated?
No, it's just always the worst time of the year. It's cold, it's depressing, there's no sports on. It's horrible. Everyone's done with winter. We're reaching the winter fatigue. It's get me out of here already.
It's good then you have a reason to celebrate.
Right. That's true. That's very
and
true.
Everyone else completely forget. Wow. Okay. So here's the thing about the challenge. I feel like haters will be put meat in the sundae, or it's you shouldn't be Amanda was like pissed about that on the
about
40
Tori being
reunion.
the vegetarian or vegan. Yeah.
The vision. I
The
like that.
vision.
Vision. I don't agree with that, but I do think they could have done way grosser things than a delicious vanilla milkshake with ketchup in it.
They also could have made it a lot easier to determine a winner. Like, it felt like they were guessing who won because they were measuring it by the gram, but everyone like said check basically at the same time. So I don't know how they like. That's why you just make the things food, because it's a lot easier to track when the food is done rather than like the liquid, especially in one of those, like Friendly's cups milkshake things where there's always a little bit extra at the bottom. You can't get every single drop. And then how are you measuring when it's completely done? And it's two people drinking it at the same time. Like, they could have. It was they were just asking for trouble based off the result of this.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know if like time even was a factor, and they were just like, we're gonna just go with like the least, the most empty cup, which
Right.
whatever. So yeah, I think the questions were fun. They maybe could have been more fun. It was a little bit annoying to me how they kept being like, I hope my partner knows to say the PC answer of we're the weakest team.
Just
very annoying.
It's like, is this their first time ever running a show? Just make it so you can't make that a rule. You can't say yourself and you have to answer. It's not that hard. It's a simple one-line rule. You can't say yourself or no one. You have to just say a team and just like, I don't get it. This is season, I know All Stars 5, but it's like challenge version like 80. Like, how do they not know to make that a rule?
I don't know. It's also interesting. There could have been even more questions, I think, and I'm sure there were, and they just weren't aired, about knowing each other, because like shout out to the contestants, like they seem to anticipate this. Like there's no way that Nicole just knows that Mel is a Torres, as she says it. So like it's cool that the teams had been like practicing for this.
Yep.
It's kind of like Love Island. Like I'd like to see them like really get tested on it. We just got 3 kind of basic questions that led nowhere, and then we watched what was probably like a pretty decently tasting milkshake. I think everyone who threw up because of the speed they had to drink through a straw, not because it was like particularly gross.
Yeah, it seemed like if you didn't have the last thing, what was it called, the durian or whatever they had from like Rivals 2 final. If you didn't have that last little bit in, it probably wasn't that bad, especially you're sharing it. It's not even that big. It really was not that big of a drink, and it's like 2 people drinking it. So you really could just like plug your nose and just like gulp. So probably,
also,
I mean, look, it's easy to say that from here, but
durian is like a really expensive like delicacy. Like it just smells bad. Like it's like commonly used in desserts, and not to be like, oh, like something gross to us is a delicacy somewhere out. Like I think like objectively, like a lot of people like durian. It just has a really offensive smell.
Well, maybe in 100 years it'll be served for $100 like lobster. That also was supposedly a gross food, and now it is a very high-end food. Fun fact.
Bug meat. It's also like they didn't even use the grossest vinegar, like balsamic vinegar. It's like just use like white vinegar. Like, balsamic vinegar, delicious. People put like balsamic vinegar on ice cream all the time.
Yep. I mean, I like the concept. This is a great challenge to do in a rival season, is something like this. But yeah, I wish there were more questions. I hated that they only showed 4.
And agreed that I'm glad they did something like this, especially now, because anybody can win this challenge. We see that bear fruit. Sam and Frank win. Only Mark Long was more excited than I was about that result.
Yeah, it was between them and Devin and Leroy. And I think Devin and Leroy got every question wrong, which was, again, kind of makes it seem like it's a poor mechanic daily that the team that gets every other question wrong almost just ended up winning it anyway. But yeah, good for Frank and Sam, especially since they were I think they got the majority of like who was like the weakest team in the house. I'll shout out Veronica. I'm sure this is just like, I'm sure she's saying it to the camera, but it is very funny that she's like, good, I'm glad everyone thinks we're the weakest. That's our strategy. It's like, sure, that you're playing up, but you are the weakest team, or one of the weakest. But sure, you can keep that saying to yourself.
Yeah, roast them and toast them. And I'm happy we break the cycle of like the team they focus on the week before goes home. A lot of buzz about that. I was a Frank and Sam truther that they did not show Frank and Sam in a fight. They showed them being like prepped and ready for trivia.
Yeah.
So in a way,
yeah.
it did spoil it also, but like it's not, we can't just say, okay, this the couple they show is gonna go home.
Right.
So I'm ready to make this interesting with Frank and Sam. I'm excited, but I was a little nervous. I was like, I've gotten excited about the season before, and Frank and Sam are just gonna cut a deal with the devil and
I
blow
was
it.
worried. I was worried as well. I didn't know. It seemed like it was possibly going down the Nicole and Mel route, which would have been unbelievable because other people pointed this out. I mean, we probably have just in passing, but it would have been wild if Nicole and Mel went in and all 8 eliminated people ended up being women. Because like for the first 3 eliminations, it's all been the female pairs. So if it was Nicole and Mel, that would have been unbelievably wild if all 8 eliminated people were women. But we broke the streak.
Yeah, Nicole doing her darndest to become the eliminated team by going around making a pitch for Nani and Turbo to go in. It's an interesting proposition for Nicole, like especially when she had bad blood with Amber from the beginning that she was aware of from the episode 1 kerfuffle,
Yeah.
episode 2, whatever it was. I was surprised that she's targeting Nani and Turbo.
It did seem a little bit of a risk, but to her point, like from the outside looking in, we would view Turbo and Nani as probably one of, if not the biggest finals threat. Obviously, they have a star, but Turbo is obviously an incredible finals competitor, and Nani's not too much of a slouch either. And if they're viewing like that combo, strong male, strong female, different body weight, all that type of thing as the biggest threat, it's fair to like want to throw them in. It's also amazing, like just off Turbo for a quick sec, because considering his last season, he was so vitriolly hated that he had literally the entire cast helping the other team in the elimination to knock him out. And he's like pretty well assimilated into this season. Like I know Adam and Steve were like the big bad wolf of this one and being thrown in every single time, but the fact that Turbo's just like seemingly being like a chill guy is kind of amazing for him. And kudos to him. Like, I don't know, maybe he's done like work on himself in between seasons to get himself in better mindset and be more of a likable guy. But considering where he came from his last season to now here, where this is the first time we really see his team mentioned at all, and it's definitely not for him being like a hated guy. So, just a little shout out for Turbo here.
Yeah, I think the credit really goes to Nani in terms of like why Turbo even has like a seat at this table and not being thrown in like an individual game. But yeah, it definitely he should be commended for not being absolutely insane.
The bar was quite literally on the ground. So it's
underground.
It is below ground, buried deep below that cave that they had to do like in the final, right before the final in season 40. So, but it is now above that. So good for him.
But I think what you said in the beginning is right about maybe what's forming Nicole's decision here is that they're really focused on getting star holders, particularly teams that maybe don't think they're going to win eliminations, especially if Nicole thinks she's in contention to get the star if Steve and Adam defeat a star holder. So maybe that's why she wants to throw in Nani and Turbo versus Devin and Leroy. She wants to give maybe Steve and Adam a good chance of beating them while still getting out a strong team.
Yep.
But it doesn't end up mattering because we get a big issue, source of drama. I was like, what's a better word for issue? Where little baby boy Dario, best friend of Leroy, brother of Dario.
Sounds like Daenerys Targaryen in its full lineage.
Of Raffi Dario. Is participating per snaps in a plot to go against Leroy and Devin. In the trial of Dario, the people versus Dario, how guilty of betraying Leroy is Dario in this moment, Brian?
I would say in this moment, not very guilty. I think he could have maybe said a little bit more. He kind of falls in the terms of the guilt scale very similarly to Josh from couple times in 40, where people relied on him to really push back to try to save one of his friends, and he didn't do it. I would say the growth, not the greater offense for Dario is not filling Leroy in immediately. Like he should take this information, maybe try to push back a little bit, but do what he can, and then just go to Leroy and be like, "This is the plan that's coming in." I think you and Devin need to like talk to some people and see what you can try to pull off, because your name's out there. I can do what I can, but I can't control who the winning team votes in. So you might want to get ahead of it. I think that is, I would say, is more where Dario faulted Leroy.
So I had to go back and watch this scene twice, because when Corey goes and tells Devin and Leroy, he's like, Dario is plotting against you. And I was like, is that really what I saw? So I'm back. And I think Dario's prime mistake, besides what you're saying, which is not going to tell him, is that Dario actually does say Leroy and Devin's name. Now, he doesn't say it as a campaign to Frank and Sam. He says it to Fessel and Corey because he says Frank and Sam might want to take a shot. And they're like, well, what do you think the shot is? And he was like, well, the shot would be Leroy and Devin versus Adam and Steve. Corey completely twists this to say, Dario's putting your name out there. I agree Dario should have probably tipped off Leroy, buddy to buddy. But if he didn't do that because he wanted to just be quiet and enjoy the possibility that someone else takes out a big threat to win, his reaction when he's confronted is completely wild. Like, it's giving guilt. It's giving there's scenes we didn't see where he's in Frank's ear being like, you got to do this for me, buddy. You got to take out Leroy. I was so confused why Dario basically admits to campaigning to get them out, which is not what we saw.
Yeah, he really he really did not react well. I totally agree. It was almost like in Traders where if you're being like he was either in Leroy's head, he's either a traitor or like a really bad faithful. And for Leroy's game, like equal offenses were taken by both. Like, you're either hurting me or you're not stopping anything to help me, and you're kind of admitting to doing both. It was wild how much he was feeding into like the tale that Devin was spinning based off what Corey was first hold them in the first place. Yeah, it's giving challenge Russ. Like, I don't know, he probably hasn't had to face this level of confrontation in a long time of like in this game like this, and he just didn't know how to handle it. And look, last time he saw someone like Devin was like the little pipsqueak that he could push around. And this is not the same Devin. He's obviously a lot more confident. He has a win, and he's not going to back down from something like this. And he's able to spin the story to make you look even worse.
And then he's like, I've got to go with the numbers. Like, the House vote is not going to be against Devin and Leroy. Now, we don't know if Leroy and Devin were like pushing some alternate plan that they couldn't get through, but just like, because I'm looking now, yeah, like Devin and Leroy don't vote Adam and Steve in. But we didn't see like Leroy asking him for his vote and him saying like no. It was just a very, very guilty person. And maybe it's just like because he had the thought and he was willing to not stop it, he then felt that guilty, so he acted that guilty. It's also giving like confronting a guy in a relationship where he just starts like saying things he doesn't even mean. Like, whoa, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to say like, you know, I can't control what Frank does. Like, it's better for my chances if you go in against Adam and Steve. Like, oh, don't say all of that.
Yeah, that's crazy to say. Like, it's better for my game than you to go home, is what he said. That's crazy. You don't say that. You could think it, sure, if you want. But like, there's like for Leroy, he's got to be thinking like, dude, you got to like give me more than like, that's crazy. That's crazy to say.
Do less.
Yeah, do less. Say
either
less.
Do a lot more. Leroy's argument, do more, or do less. Do less. Right. Say nothing.
He did way worse just in the cover up than the actual crime, which is a classic case.
Yes, classic case. And then, God bless Dario, comes out like he's been under a rock about how people fight on the Challenge House now. It's like he took a time machine from Ari the One, showed up on All Stars 5, like jumped through a time portal to the Geezer show, the OG show, and starts taking like really strange personal attacks at Devin. And, you know, I don't endorse it, but it's never not funny to me when someone says, you're a bum. It's like he's on Houses. You're a bum.
It really got a chuckle out of me. Like, you're not a tough guy. You're a bum. It made me laugh. It was good. It was old school. It was fun. It was like Devin like saying you want to get street. It's like, what are they actually going to fight? No, it would have been unbelievable if Dario threw a punch. That would be great. Devin was begging for it.
Champion my balls. Like, it was so funny.
It was like he was very much like reading what the Twitter threads have said about Devin. Like, oh, you really get away. You just like puzzle guy. You're not that good. You got, you know. I think, did he say like you have a gut, like basically in your stomach? You're not even in good shape or something. He was really.
Here's what he said. He said, after he said you're a bum and championed my balls, he said, you have a pot belly. You're not athletic. You can't run. You're ugly. I will break your jaw. And Devin goes, quite hilariously, your breath stinks.
A classic Devin line. Unbelievable. No, this was exactly what you wanted in a challenge fight. Like, it's so over the top that it's basically goofy. It's like a cartoon. And you can see like Devin like running off with like a puff of smoke, like a road runner behind him. If it was like it was unbelievable. It's what you want. It was beautiful.
If we had merch, I'd be pushing for champion my balls.
And then on the back, you're a bum.
You're a bum. Now, like, yeah, and I, not knowing Devin, I think Devin enjoys this kind of exchange.
Oh, loves it.
Like, this is
Loves it.
This is great. This is great. Dario's out of his mind. You're a bum.
It was very funny to see like this quick shot of Ashley just being like, "What's stupid partner doing out there? This can't be good. This can't be good for business."
Champion my balls. Okay. So the House vote was kind of interesting, actually. It was the first one that wasn't like, we might as well not vote. Let's just put ourselves in.
Right. Chris, I would love an update on the Adam health status. Obviously, he must be feeling better, but considering that was such a big storyline, like, I don't know, could we get like a temperature update? Is he back down to 98.3? He doesn't seem to be like hovering over the bathroom all the time. So where's the health update?
HIPAA violation. You're not authorized. Yeah. No, I was thinking that last week too. Like, he really got well soon. From what we can see. But I was surprised the way the votes flopped. And like, I guess like I would be curious to know if the votes for Mel and Nicole, from Leroy and Devin and Turbo and Nani, like, if there was a real play, like that they tried to whip votes, because like in theory, right, they could get the 3-star holder teams that we were told they were in alliance with, plus Fessel and Amber. We were told we were in alliance with them. Maybe they can try to swing Big T and Corey, since Corey was like trying to make a headway with them by delivering this information. And you vote in Mel and Nicole so that they are then forced to put in Adam and Steve to continue to not have blood on their hands, or like throw in Veronica and Katie, like you said, to give them an easier time if they're working with Nicole and Mel. I was surprised how quickly like this alliance completely folded on Leroy and Devin.
Yeah, the whole voting was odd because so Nicole and Mel, to save themselves, vote for Adam and Steve, but Adam and Steve don't vote for Nicole and Mel to try to save themselves. And Katie and Veronica, I would think, would want to also help save Adam and Steve. I know it was at the end of it, so it probably didn't matter, but they didn't vote for Nicole and Mel. Also, I mean, Katie's giving Adam a masterclass of how to play the show. Wouldn't she want to vote to save him? That was odd. And my dude Corey, like, I know I'm sure he's thrilled that he got the call to be on All Stars 5. Like, he wants to like make a name for himself in any chance he can. And so far, it's been a quiet season for him. But you're doing too much with this vote. Like, you're doing way too much. Like, this was like Adam and Steve were just burning on you. Like, I'm sure his mind, he might be hoping like it blows up and he somehow gets into the elimination because he just wants to make a scene, but you're doing too much.
You've also voted for him the entire time. Like, it's not a burn vote on Veronica and Katie, who have been trying to help you or something like that. You know, like, yeah, I had the same reaction to that. Quite dramatic, but like fun, but it's just not hitting here.
It's not authentic. It's like the thing. It's like the Dario and Devin thing like was over the top, but like you could at least rationalize where they were each coming from. Like the Corey getting upset here was just like he was looking for a moment to make, and there just wasn't one.
This is though where I worry about Fessel and Amber's move next week being, or in the next few weeks before the final, falling apart, because I think they've successfully had their like meat shields. But now that Devin and Leroy are gone, I think they're next in line. So maybe they should have been a part of figuring out whether it was too soon to make this move or not, and working with, Turbo and Nani and Leroy and Devin and anyone else to get in Nicole and Mel. But I think we would have blown our tops if that happened. It's like
Yeah.
it would be very risky to let this opportunity go by and not have the two of the strongest physical teams go into the elimination. But I
Totally.
am watching with a half eyebrow raised of what's going to happen to them in the weeks to come.
And then it was just weird how, like, at least we got insight into like the winning team going into the elimination vote, where we have like a Sam confessional being like, do we want to take the big shot, or do we instead like take the big shot at Devin and Leroy, or should we try to just break up Adam and Steve and Mel and Nicole and throw in Mel and Nicole? It's like, all right, great, we have the setup. I really hope they don't go the Mel and Nicole route, but at least if they do, there's a reasoning behind it. So kudos for the editing crew. They jumped forward in time, heard everyone's complaints, and they adjusted the edit for this episode, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, and not only did we get Sam's reflection on setting it up perfectly, although I was definitely worried there was going to be like a secret third option because we did have Fessel and Amber discuss two concrete options in the first episode and then totally flip. But we also got to see the main option, Devin and Leroy, make their appeal to Frank and Sam. And we talked about this earlier, but like I forgot about the deal made and like the Sylvia Kellyanne Accords of like, that deal being made between them. It's not a bad pitch from Devin and Leroy of like, let's break up an alliance, but it's a little bit weak because it's like that alliance is already broken up. They're not voting together because like they don't have the numbers. So they're not this like strong alliance that keeps going back and forth, winning. If anything, your alliance needs to be broken up for Frank and Sam. And I think they should have, obviously, as you were saying, focused way more on like what Devin and Leroy can do for you, not what your vote can do for the house.
Totally.
Oh God. Sorry. An itch on my back.
Explosion. All right. Let's get to the elimination.
Don't go to YouTube. My microphone fell. Don't worry about it. Okay, good.
There's no bug on the scene. Over a barrel is we get to elimination. Devin and Leroy are, of course, voted in. And they are playing over a barrel. You have to transport 18 barrels, rolling them across the sands using a rope bridge, I guess, but transporting them with your feet, rolling them across the sand only using your feet. Transport 18 of them, and then each person, and then eventually the pair of them, have to complete basically like a Sudoku style triangle puzzle with you have a middle number, and you have to get the three sides of the triangle to equal that middle number.
Yeah, this was fine. I was really just more interested in the result than really watching this challenge. Because I just also want to commend Frank and Sam here, even if we don't think it's best for the longevity of their game, which I think we don't. It's bold and it's cool because they sent it a team that really could have beaten Adam and Steve. To me, it's like 50-50. If anything, advantage Devin and Leroy to me from like experience and freshness, where like Steve and Adam, good for them for keeping up this momentum. It must be really draining. And if Steve and Adam get knocked out, it's really easy for Frank and Sam to become that new like whipping boy team. So I thought this was bold. Wrong, maybe, but bold, definitely, which I respect.
Yeah, it works out great for them that, the team they snake over goes home. Adam and Steve stay in. They're still, the shield protecting a lot of teams. It was good getting the one Devon confessional. It sucks. Like Devon's normally like a confessional queen. I feel like this is like her first one all season, but we get a good insight from her of understanding. Like, look, Adam and Steve are to go win every single time, and her and Shane are not drawing dead and come a final. They're decent enough that they can certainly pull off, if not a win, maybe a second or third place. So this is a great spot for them to be in, to have Adam and Steve as like the wrecking ball to knock out all the teams. And for them, it finally helps out that they take out one of the better teams. I'm sure they're hoping maybe the next week they take out Turbo and Nani, Fessel and Amber, like let Adam and Steve clear house.
Are you watching Love is Blind?
I am not.
I thought it was top of mind because they a great scene happens in the first drop, and they use Wrecking Ball in the background, and you hear the like dun, dun, and you're like, ooh, great backing track. Anyway,
I did see a TikTok where someone has a fun conspiracy theory that like a lot of the songs they write for like Love is Blind are like very specific. Like, I guess not for that one because that's a real song, but like they think there are a lot of fake songs and that they're created by using AI because they're like very specific for the scenes that are happening. Is that accurate?
100%. And in fact, like this is the first season where they've like 1 out of every 10 songs is a real song, and the rest are like, is it the pots or is it
Right.
love? Is it your sight? Like it's ridiculous.
Like maybe they're using the same site that I did for my songs.
Oh yeah, remember that era?
That was fun.
A real era's tour. Poor Leroy feels like he fumbled the bag on this. He did, but I still think this pairing was like more designed in favor of Nani winning than Leroy. But he does say what I think a lot of people are thinking is like, this is really my shot to win with Devin as my partner in this field and my allies, and couldn't get it done.
Couldn't get it done. Couldn't. I mean, they got the one daily win, plus I guess 2 because with the Star Invitational, but then couldn't get an elimination win, and it wasn't like one of Leroy or Devin's fault. Like they were last to get the barrels done. Neither of them got the puzzle done. So a bad showing all around. I do think there is a degree of like once Devin gets his win, I do think for him like the motivation isn't as big as to eventually get like your first win. Like is still for Leroy. Not that took away from Devin's performance, but there's still like a little bit of like the fire not being in his pot belly anymore.
Goodbye. That's it. Nothing else to say.
But yeah, so no. So what do we think? Is the Star just going to be won by the next daily winner? Is the thought?
Oh, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if TJ like asked Adam and Steve to assign it at the challenge. Like, just like we'll see tomorrow. I would like it to be a little side quest, and like the Big Brother like soapy challenge where you can like choose the little $5,000 pot, or you could choose the win. Like, it would be hard to imagine every single person who doesn't have a star wouldn't go for the star,
right?
And then the star holders would probably win. That would be exciting though, because like they've been the targets. So that's my vote.
That'd be very fun. But I was worried that next week was almost going to be a no elimination week. I thought like maybe it would just be a new Star Invitational and the star holders wouldn't compete and it would just be the star holders. But it did seem like in the next time on there were clips of people plotting for an elimination. So I don't think that is the case. And that with in only an hour episode, there's not time for 2 separate challenges plus an elimination of like, let's start with the Star Invitational and then go to the daily. And then there's just not enough time for that, I wouldn't think. So I do like your concept though of the pick your own, choose your own adventure type thing.
That is interesting, though, because you're right. TJ does say in the preview, this challenge is a star challenge. So it is giving like a rebrand, like this is just to get the star.
Right. That's what I thought.
Maybe it's just, maybe it is just like a star is up for grabs. Therefore, it becomes a star challenge.
Yeah.
I've got intrigue, baby. Mark Long, get excited. I've got intrigue. I've got interest.
Well, there we go. That's episode 5. You can subscribe. RHAPiswebsite.com/challenge feed. Follow me on Twitter, Cohen Brian _, TikTok, challenge wrap-ups, Blue Sky, Cohen Brian.
Oh my God, Blue Sky.
Maybe it's 1 or 2 more plugs.
What about
for that.
Threads? You on Threads?
So, I mean, I like if you have an Instagram account, unfortunately, I am on Threads, but I don't think I've ever posted there. I think wasn't everyone like automatically signed up and it like totally like faked the numbers of like, ooh, Threads got to like 0 to like 100 million faster than any social media. It's because if you're already on Instagram, you like automatically got signed up. What a ratchet.
What a ratchet?
Racket.
Yeah, I will cede my plugging time to say, how many people do you think watch the Challenge All Stars? I looked up the ratings. This is the first time the All Stars is not on a streaming service. So I think it's doing pretty well. Ratings.
Well, because I think I remember seeing the first 2 episodes did not do well, but then Marcus doing
no one could find them. The DVRs,
right? That's the whole thing. The DVRs were screwing up. Everyone was causing chaos. It's not on Paramount Plus. It was the SpongeBob like screaming with the fire meme in the streets. No one could find it. But Marcus did like a good job the last couple of weeks of like, I don't know. He says he's doing this. I don't know how much sway he actually has at MTV scheduling of like, I got MTV to put the previous week's episode on like at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock right before it. Is he actually? I don't know how much sway he genuinely has. I wouldn't put it past him that he has some the ends with it. But I think he posted the last couple of weeks have done pretty well, like beating like other network shows and stuff like that. So I think it's doing decently.
Okay, that's interesting because like, what is pretty well?
I mean, I don't know what a number is. I just how does it compare to some other show? That's how I would.
Because like Mark Long recently posted on Instagram that they passed The Masked Singer,
Right.
but that's in like trending posts on.
Was that? Oh, it wasn't in the ratings. It was just like the trending.
It was on trending posts, and like it was number 2 trending in the United States with 1,184 tweets. Like the Masked Singer's audience has Twitter, but like I don't know what is a good amount of people to watch. I just know like compared to other shows, it was like 350,000 people in like the P2P whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 18 to 50 something. Just like Mark has almost 200,000 Instagram followers. So it's like if everyone who follows him on Instagram told a friend to watch it, like that's how many people are watching. Watching.
I mean, and this was the Mark tweet that got me excited, where he wrote, "This Wednesday is not like the others. Be sure to tune in. Things are about to change." Winky face.
Okay,
like, oh, okay,
that's a spoiler, but I feel like he needed to tell people like if you've given up, come back. Just like relax.
It's not going to be Adam and Steve knocking out another 2-women team. It's going to be something different. Come watch.
It's going to be Adam and Steve knocking out 2 of your faves.
Right.
But no, it was great. He's right. We're on board. We're here.
Yeah, I'm having more fun.
2 of 350,000.
I don't. Do we even count? Like, I don't think. Do you have a Nielsen box? I don't think I have a Nielsen box. So
no, but whatever. Like they're telling me this is what it is.
All right. Well, so what are the numbers? Add 2 because we're not counted in it. So it's 2 more people than what they're saying. We'll be back next week, episode 6. Till then, happy birthday to me.
Oh yeah, I forgot already.
Have a good one.